Hey kids, it's Mr. Flyer here, hope you're well. And today you find me on this beautiful spring day at the headquarters of Ducati UK, where today I'm going to be borrowing this, my next longish term test bike. Got it for a couple of weeks, cannot wait to get cracking on the Streetfighter V2. She's a beast. Right, been looking forward to riding this ever since I rode the V4, which was an absolutely amazing bike. Really like that. Then they came out with this V2 version, something that Ducati do quite a lot. They take their big bikes and come out with a smaller version, and often they end up being better bikes for the road. And in the case of this bike, of course, I'm an owner of a 899 Panigale, which has an engine that's very similar. In fact, the engine in this is derived from that. So I'm really looking forward to seeing if this really does live up to its billing as being like a comfortable Panigale. Anyway, before we get too carried away, there's a car park up here just as I come out of Silverstone. I'll pull over up there and I'll just show you around the bike before we get into what it's like to ride. Alright, let's take a little look at this puppy then, shall we, and see some of the features of the bike, some of the design features of the bike. Starting off with this front end. Now, when the Street Fighter first came out, the V4 version, I was quite critical about the looks of the bike, particularly this sort of waspish headlight, but I have to say, I really do like it. The bike has grown on me and the bike just looks beautiful. Oozes Ducati quality. Look at those lights on the front there, they look absolutely superb. One of the big differences I've noticed immediately between this and my Panigale 899 is this big area where the radiators are. Of course they are there on the Panigale, but the fairings hide these, shroud these up a little bit more, so they're a bit more obvious on the V2, on the Street Fighter. But beautiful fit and finish as ever. It's got, I noticed it's got black badging on here, whereas on my 899 I think it's got silver, and then I think they went to white for a bit, but just a bit of an Araki thing. There we can see the exhaust underslung. Only comes out of one side, unlike the Panigale, which is both sides, and this is a Euro 5 friendly bike, so I guess all the gubbins under there is part of that. Single-sided swing arm looks absolutely lovely with those wheels. This bike, by the way, is pretty much, well, it's absolutely standard as if you bought it. Ducati don't do that thing like some other manufacturers do, where they put loads of extras on a demo press bike. This is a bog standard bike. The only difference on here than the one that you would buy if you bought the standard bike is this has got these Ducati brake guards, because of course sometimes people take these out on track and you need those on UK tracks. But anyway, yeah, a beautiful looking machine. So much for how she looks though. Let's jump on, see how she rides. Alrighty, welcome back aboard then. Let's get this fired up once again, if we remember how to. There we go. Right, that's so much for how she looks then. What about the ride? Let's find my way out of the car park. Hello to Matt, by the way, who's sat in that truck. Just had a chat to him. He's one of the subscribers to the channel. Cheerio. Hope you get to watch the vid, otherwise all that was wasted. Right, how do I get out of here? Around here, innit? Yeah. Alright, so it's about knocking off time actually, so it's quite a good time for a first ride because there will be a bit of traffic around. I'm going to go illegal here and take a right out of here. You're supposed to go left, but got away with it. So yeah, so quite a good ride home. A few twisty roads, bit of town work as well, so it should be a good first ride review. Well, I say so myself. You could be the judge of that, but it'll be a good ride anyway for me. So what's the first thing I noticed about the V2? Well, although I'm very excited to ride this bike, I have to say the first thing I noticed about it is the vibe through the seat. It really is quite a lumpy old thing. Is that outrageous for me to say that? I am of course used to my 899, as I keep mentioning, and that doesn't feel as thumpy as this does. This has got shortened gear ratios to make it a bit more grunty on the road. Let's just give her a quick wind. Yeah, she sounds familiar. And maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that's something to do with the fact that it feels vibey through the seat to me. Nothing through the pegs, just through the seat. So we'll see how that works out, whether that becomes annoying or not, but I'm quite surprised about that. In terms of the riding position, oh boy, way more comfortable than the Panny. Reminds me very much of my old Street Triple in terms of the riding position, which basically is comfortable. That's a good thing. And the seat on here, actually, I can move forward and back quite a way. which is something you can't do on the Panigale. So the seat on here I think is longer and wider. So that means it's probably going to be more suitable for taller riders as well. Fiddle with these mirrors slightly. Mirrors are nice and big and nice and stable as well. I'm glad to say sometimes for some reason Ducati gets mirrors a bit wrong. The Super Sport, for example, the mirrors shake about like you wouldn't believe, but on here they're nice and stable. See behind you, no problem. Oh yeah, it has got bags of low down grunt this actually. You don't feel like you have to wait for it to come on song. Let's pop her into road mode. I was in sport mode before, we're going into road mode now. Close throttle. Right, alright, I'm in road mode now. Wondered if that might make a bit of a difference to that thumpy nature, but no. And actually at certain vibes, if you watch this TFT look, how vibraty that is. I don't know if you can see it through the camera. There's certain revs, slow down as I come into this 30, certain revs, that vibrates quite a bit as well. So that immediately becomes my first concern about the bike. Well, I didn't see that coming. Nice and smooth here though, in fourth gear at 30 miles an hour, he says, quickly slowing down. Anyway, so comfort's all there, mirrors work well. Let's just check those brakes. Wow. Yeah, amazing, these Brembo brakes on here. Let's try that again, because that was a bit... No, they're not on-offy, so that's alright. Let's try the rear one. Yeah, rear one's bog standard actually. Great for sorting the bike out in a corner, but doesn't slow you down that much, but that's pretty standard on all bikes I find. Handlebars, not too wide, not too narrow, just right. Goldilocks stone handlebars. Actually sounds great. A little bit muted compared to what I'm used to on my 899. Again, this bike is Euro 5 compliant, and a lot of the Euro 5 regulations I understand from talking to the guys back at Ducati are all to do with engine noise. Funny enough, not so much the exhaust, but more internals, but they have had to keep the bikes quieter to get through that, whereas my 8.9 is super loud. This one's not as obnoxious as that. That said, this does have the standard exhaust on it, not the optional acro, which if you really want a bit of noise and you've got deep pockets, you can add to it for about £4 grand. Right, which way am I going? Down here. Glad to say, bike has a quick shifter as standard. Let's just have a little try. Yeah, the quick shift is lovely actually, as they always are on Ducatis now. Lovely to see that it's fitted as standard, both up and down the box. Yeah, handling's lovely actually through here. It does feels nice and light. And I have to say, it doesn't feel, to me anyway, particularly slower than the V4 that I rode a couple of months back. Of course, if you took it on track or a much faster road, I'm sure you would notice the difference, but on these back twisty roads, this is absolutely perfect. 155 brake horsepower. I don't care what anyone says, you don't need any more than that for the road, do you? Alright, talking of numbers, let's jump off the bike again, go through the spec. Alright, let's talk numbers and we'll quickly whiz through the spec. I've written it down as ever so I don't make any glaring mistakes, but here we go. So to start off with then, that the engine, it's the 95cc Super Quattro engine, 90-degree V2 desmodromic unit with 4 valves per cylinder, and of course it is liquid cooled. Euro 5 compliant as I mentioned, and we first saw this engine I think in the Panigale that I've got, the 899, which now of course is called the V2. It became the 959 and then the V2, and then this engine now used on the baby Streetfighter, if we can call it that. Power wise, 153 brake horsepower at 10,750 RPM, and it looks like, looking at the power curves earlier, looks like the power is quite linear on here. Torque wise, 74.8 pounds-feet at 9,000 RPM, or 101.4 Newton meters in the new money. And I guess the only other thing to mention on here is the gearing on this has been changed over the gearing on the, again,
for want of a better word, baby Panigale, in that this is much more of a road-focused bike, of course, and therefore first gear in particular has been shortened, so you've got a bit more grunt low down and a bit less top end, which is great as far as I'm concerned. That's what you want on the road. All right, let's take a look at these brakes on the front here then. Top quality Brembo brakes on here. These are the M4.32 4-pot calipers on the front, and that's got a 320mm disc. This has got lean angle ABS, by the way, the Bosch system. On the back you can see the single disc on there, and another looks like a 2-pot caliper, Mark Brembo as well. It's a 245mm disc on the back. Suspension wise on the front, fully adjustable shower big piston forks on here. Let's have a look at the adjustment. Quite difficult to get it under the handlebars maybe. Oh no, there we go, you can see that there, and you've got that steering damper as well. And then at the back it's a fully adjustable Sachs unit, which, let's see if we can find it. There we go, around the side here, and we can see the adjustment. That looks exactly the same as that on my 899, in fact. Seat height on here, 845mm, which sounds quite high, but it is quite narrow waisted, it being a V2, so you can get, or certainly I can get my feet on the floor no problem at all at 5'8". Weight wise, Ducati quote 200 kilograms curb weight, or 178 kilograms dry, so not super duper light, but not super heavy either, so I'd put this down in the medium category as far as weight is concerned. The tank capacity on here, 17 litres, so again not huge but perfect for this kind of bike, and again I think Ducati quotes something like a range of 173 miles, which is pretty good actually. My I think my Panigale, the fuel light comes on at about 130 miles, so it sounds about right. Electronics wise, this has inherited everything from the Panigale V2, so you name it, it's got it. It's got a Ducati up and down quick shifter as standard, it's got the Bosch cornering ABS, Color TFT, LED lighting, auto off indicators, 3 riding modes, it's got Ducati wheelie control, traction control, engine braking control, all sorts of gumph on there. If you want electronics on your bike, then this has it in spades. And then last but not least, while we're talking about the numbers, price of this, 14,995, or if you want the carbon wings that you get on the V4, which just sit there, then they're another £1,000. Alrighty, that's enough about the spec. What's the thing actually like though in terms of grin factor? Let's get back on the bike.
Alright, welcome back aboard the bike, and grin factor, this scores highly on. Woohoo! Quickly caught up with the white van ahead, and I see, do I trust this dip? No, I don't. Loads of character this bike. Right, here we go. Past the white van, see you down there, mate. Woo-hoo-hoo! Oh my word! Nearly lost the camera there. Let's just tighten you up. Yeah, for out and out grin factor, this bike has it in spades. Although I complained earlier about the vibes on the bike, which there's no doubt they're there. It does give it that character. When you wind it up, those disappear. And I had a grin ear to ear then, you couldn't see it through the helmet, but trust me, it was there. Yeah, scores highly on the grin factor. One thing this bike could not be accused of is being clinical. It's got all that Ducatiness that we've grown to love over the years. The fit and finish on the bike is beautiful, as you saw, and I've yet to find any Ducatis, I think, that don't always make me feel special, and this one is no different. I guess if you got this instead of the V4, you lose your bragging rights down the pub about having a 200 horsepower plus bike. But I rarely go to the pub, or at least not for a drink anymore. I haven't got any friends. So I'm not too worried about bragging rights at my age. And this engine you can definitely tap into more of. Alright, coming through Buckingham here. Oh, hello, nice little Caterham 7 there. Let's see what she's like, slow speed and a little bit of traffic. And the answer is not too bad. I mean, again, back with a bit of those vibrations, but she's not I'm not having to feather the clutch or anything. I could probably have to on my Panigale if I was riding at this sort of speed. Goodness, great views here in Buckingham. So yeah, I've ridden better bikes in town, to be fair. Well, it's not bad. It's definitely better than my Panigale at the slow speed stuff. Hydraulic clutch on here, so even though you've got the quick shifter, you don't have to use it very much, but when you do use it, nice and light. Look at these splendid blossoms out. What a treat to be out on a lovely warm day. It's about 18 degrees centigrade today. I'm recording this just at the end of March. And as I say, I've got this as my next long-termer from Ducati. Got it for a couple of weeks, and the weather forecast for the next week is atrocious. So really pleased to be out on a nice day today, because I think I am going to get the chance to take this out in some pretty bad weather to see what it's like to really live with this bike. In fact, the forecast at the moment is for snow in 3 days' time, would you believe? And the temperature to drop to 4 degrees. So I'm going to properly get to know this bike over the next couple of weeks. So if you're interested in the V2 and the sort of lessons I've learnt on the bike, stick around, stay tuned to the channel, subscribe if you've not done so already, and I'll bring you my long-term lessons learnt in a couple of weeks' time. Once I know a bit more about it, I've got to go home and study the manual to understand all the features and functions on here. As I say, it's laden with electronics on this. Everything that the Panigale's got, the V2, this has too. Basically, they've just transferred the electronics package over. So the switch gear is all very familiar, exactly the same as far as I can remember as the V2. Nice and easy to use as well, quite chunky. You know, in gloves you can feel the buttons, which I like. And then the other thing to mention is this little TFT, which shakes away, as you may have saw then, on a bit of bumpy road. It's looks a bit flimsy actually. It's quite a small TFT compared to the one on the V4. But it's nice and clear. It's got everything you need on there. Well, clear except when it's rattling around, and it goes a bit blurry. Look, can you see that again? The GoPro tends to smooth things out, but it does move around a bit. I guess it's on rubber mounts, and that's why it does that. A little bit disappointing though. I was expecting this to be the perfect road bike after the V4, which is damn close to the perfect road bike, and that had none of these vibey issues that I remember. It of course being much smoother, being a 4-cylinder bike. There we go, it's played out in a way in which I wasn't expecting. Anyway, so that's pretty much it for my first ride review. As I say, I'm going to be bringing you lots more on the channel. This is going to be my daily rider for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to get to know it as well as I possibly can, and I will bring you all the lessons learned, all the good things and the not so good things in my usual way. So stay tuned for that. But for my first ride review, that's it for now. Thank you for watching. Hope you found that of some interest, and look forward to speaking to you again soon. Until then, this has been the Mr. Fly. Cheerio.